which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. That approval, amendment of meeting agenda item.
I move to approve the meeting agenda items for February 15th, 2023 regular session board meeting as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and an approval, there's been a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda item February 15th, 2023. I might know, were we gonna make an amendment to those?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So Annie, do you wanna, how do we do that?
She's making a motion.
Annie, go ahead and make the amendment.
Okay, I move to approve the meeting agenda items for February 15th, 2023, regular session board meeting as presented with an additional amendment of 9.5? 9.4.
There's,
Second.
okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda items for February 15th, 2023, regular session with the amendment to amend item 9.4. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did I miss Andy? Oh, motion carries. Approval of minutes.
I move to approve the meeting minutes of January 11th, 2023 regular session board meeting as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes of January 11th, 2023, regular session as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, on to good news. Mr. Carter, superintendent report.
Okay, we're gonna have the financial audit report, KDP's gonna do that part, but the good stuff coming up. First of all, I wanna mention, apologize to everyone for the geothermal heat that's out, and they did not have it fixed. We ran our backup boilers all the way through. The problem is one of our tanks will not let us get fueled up, so we can't get one of the buildings hot. There's no school tomorrow, so that's a difficult one for everybody. The other thing, though, is good news, is our girls are going to their first playoff game tomorrow. Unfortunately, won't be at home, it'll be in Lost River. They leave at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and also there's a route bus, so we're excited about that. Congratulations, Hawkins. 14-1, we won at 15-1, so good job. Excited about that. So that's the good news there. We also want to talk about some of the things happening around the district. It's been great to see some of our kids and some of the things getting ready for, and the Friday update, you saw some of the things we listed. So we really want to praise the teachers and the administrators for getting some good programs going there. As for the other good news, we had a recognition for the counselors, which is outstanding. Great time for them, so we appreciate all the counselor work and the mental health support. So they went to lunch, had a great time, and people covered for them, so thank them for that. Our resource officer, Callie Dornbush, it's Resource Officer Day today, so we want to commend her. We had a reward for her, but no school today or tomorrow, so we'll have something for her Friday. So that's the good news I have there. Any questions?
The geothermal is a issue that is going on with the town.
Yes, sir. Geothermal, so there are two, there's a north and a south. So the south one has the pump, and there was a problem with some electrical issues. So they ordered those parts, so it has nothing to do with us. And so, you know, the hospital, us, are all out of town. So we're hoping to get it fixed soon. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
And it's basically, we have a tank problem.
Well, our problem is our backups all the way through. I can heat in every building but one, because it's only 200-something gallons left, and that won't even last a day. We'll use about 300 gallons for the high school.
Okay.
So I can't take a risk of doing it. And if it wasn't so cold, we'd be good, but unfortunately, we had that cold snap.
Okay. All right, so on to the financial audit
Yeah,
report.
so we have KDP here. They've been working a lot, so I'll let them tell you all about it, but they came back and did a complete audit, which was important for us to get some of that things worked out with the state. We got the clearinghouse, so you guys are on.
Okay, my name name is Mark Damon. I'm the managing partner with KDP. Our firm has our main offices in Medford, Oregon, and we have another office in Boise, Idaho. And we started working with the district this year, and it was an eventful year. And Donna Walt, who's also joining me on the call, and Andrew Sherwood are Don's a director within our firm, and Andrew's a senior manager. They were both heavily involved in the audit process as well. But what I'd like to do is kind of go over the results of the audit and kind of get through those, and then we can open it up for questions and comments from there, and have any discussions, which there might be. So the audit document itself, a good cheat sheet for kind of evaluating the audit results. It would start on page 64 and 66, and that's the summary or the schedule of findings and question costs. And that's an important summary, but I think it's important to start even before that. So we have the summary schedule of prior audit findings, which is on page 67. This and for those that don't have it in front of you, basically there was a lot of confusion as we went to perform this audit. There was we were engaged to perform the audit. The prior audit report was clean. When I say that, there were no findings identified and nothing reported. And subsequent to that, in October of 2022, so almost like 8 or 9 months after the audit report from the previous year, the district received some reports from the prior auditor that disclosed like 4 material weaknesses over financial reporting and 4 weaknesses over federal awards. And so I think Michael, Janet, the whole team, and KDP we were just confused about what, typically when an auditor reports, like we're reporting our results today, we're final, these are our results, they're not going to change unless there's some significant matter that's identified after the fact. So we weren't able collectively to really determine the reasons or what led to the subsequent findings. And so, we had to kind of restructure our audit approach of how we were going to look at the district. And, we couldn't ignore the findings that were subsequently issued. And so on page 67 of the report, starting on page 67 of the report is the schedule. And what the district elected to do was report all the findings that were subsequently presented by the former audit. And a requirement of this is for the district to basically say, what are the current status of those findings? And there's a summary that takes up the better part of a page that basically that describes the scenario. That the district received a report, it was clean. Subsequently, it received a report that wasn't clean. And basically the district has been doing everything it can to evaluate why that has happened, but also the district had to move on with life and address its 2022 audit. And so that's summarized in a huge paragraph for somebody that wants to read that. And essentially what it says is all of these prior findings are now kind of condensed into 3 findings in the current year. So then that takes us forward to the current year. So I'm actually going to stop there to just, are there any questions? I know it's a little confusing, and I think it's a little confusing to everybody, but I just want to open for any questions with that. Okay, so that's good. So I think from there, we kind of turn the chapter and say, okay, that's closing the 2021 audit that was done by previous auditors. And on page 67 of the current report is the current year's schedule of findings and or schedule of findings and question costs. So for anybody tracking, page 64 is the start. I apologize. So this, for the board of the district, this is probably the best place to look when you're evaluating an audit. And what this report says, that we issued an opinion on the financial statements, and we actually issued multiple opinions on the financial statements themselves. And for the most part, we issued what we call an unmodified opinion. And that means a clean opinion. And in other words, we audited the funds of the district, the general fund, special revenue fund, and we audited the district as a whole. And for the most part, there were no issues that needed to be reported. There is one technical issue associated with an actuarial valuation of other post-employment benefits that the district needs to kind of engage an actuary to determine the amount of a potential liability. And to be honest, it's kind of ivory tower accounting stuff, but the district, we were not able to opine on one provision because of that. So the district's working on getting that actuarial valuation, but it did not hold up the results from being able to issue these results and send them to the Oregon Department of Education, which is very important for the school to obtain its funding. Other than that, when we perform an audit for a school district, and especially a school district that receives a significant amount of federal funds, and we perform what's called a single audit. And in doing that, we evaluate internal controls over financial reporting and internal controls over compliance with major federal programs. And when we evaluated internal controls over financial reporting, we found what we would call, and it sounds maybe worse than it is, but we found two material weaknesses, which are summarized on page 65 and 66, all the way through 66, and one significant deficiency. And rather than read these findings, they can be summarized as something that's common for smaller organizations, local governments, nonprofits. And the first one is basically the financial statement close process. School districts and governmental entities are some of the most complex entities from an accounting and finance standpoint. And really a lot of similar organizations struggle to be able to keep up with accounting standards and how to account at that high level, which is called generally accepted accounting principles. And so we provided some recommendations basically for bolstering the financial reporting and the accounting team. And really it's probably about getting more support internally to that accounting finance function to make sure that there's adequate time to close the books, evaluate, make sure that expenses get put in the right period and revenue gets booked in the right period. And so it's nothing nefarious. It's really just a matter of complexity and just resource need. And that basically summarizes the findings. If we had to say if there were findings related to internal controls, that those are the findings, and some of that creates segregation of duties issues, and what that means is trying to spread duties to make sure maybe there's dual people touching it, or controls that don't allow for one person to be able to do everything. Because on a finance side, you want to kind of have those separation of duties, so not one person has the keys to the car to do anything that they want. And so we did not find any issues related to that with as far as like misappropriation of assets or anything like that, but we just noticed that the controls can be beefed up, and this is common of many organizations. This is a common issue. Are there questions with regard to the current year findings and how I've summarized them?
No, I think it'll be easier for us to maybe have a question or want further explanation when we actually have the report.
Okay.
I think it's a little harder to have a question and come up with something that you might be able to clarify for us without us actually being able to see it, you just talking about it.
Yep. And so really that summary of that schedule of findings and question costs, it elaborates, it summarizes the results of multiple reports that we provide. And so we talked about the report over the financial statements. There's also a report that's done in accordance with the uniform guidance, which is because you expend more than $750,000 of federal funds. And then also a report, we're required to audit the district in accordance with government auditing standards. And we're also required to audit with special provisions according to the state of Oregon. And the summary that I just provided you would be the detail that that the board would want to know. Everything else, there were no issues in the reporting, and all if there were adjusting entries that needed to be made, they were all made to the books of records. So the audit results that were reported are accurate and correct. So, speaking of the books of record, the opening balance for certain funds and the entity as a whole, we had to restate, or the district had to restate the opening balance as part of this audit process. For the most part, the restatements were not material, and they really could be attributed to, again, that financial statement close process of making sure expenses get accrued in the correct period, or in the correct year, really, and that revenues are booked and recognized in the correct year. And there were some adjustments to get that correct. And when you do have the report, or you're able to look at the report, you'll notice some disclosure on page 17 and 18. And really, that is the meat of the report provided by KDP. And we have one other required communications that we typically go over with the board of directors at the conclusion of the audit, but it basically paraphrases everything I just said. It really talks about the meat of any potential issue. But what it also says is the district was a pleasure to work with. They probably, Michael and team probably got a little tired of us, because it was a pretty robust process for a period of time. We kind of had to come all hands on deck to finish this in January. We worked with Oregon Department of Education and all of our relationships to make sure deadlines were extended and that the district could get in a position to be able to deliver to the Oregon Department of Education which is important so that district could receive state school funding. So, you know, from our side, we want to thank the district for being so involved in that month of January. We know it was painful, but we felt like we had a really good working relationship to solve some pretty unique problems.
Okay, well, I appreciate you guys stepping up and the work that you did in January also to get this all put together. I'll look forward to the actual report, but really, all our numbers are good. We just need to beef up our internal controls. It's kind of the gist of it.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
And also too, the work they've done was amazing in that short period of time. To make sure we're able to clear the federal clearinghouse.
Right. Okay, great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Thank you all guys very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry if we put anybody to sleep. All right, thank you.
Great, thanks. Okay, so on to item number 2, SIA report.
So we have that, we're working that with the ESD and Mark Louie and my team's getting data reports going, so I think we're gonna be on scope there.
You might state the acronym since we got.
Oh. Student investment plan, student investment act.
Okay.
So then we have to develop a plan. So the next part of it, if you're ready for me to roll into that, we have our student targeted growth plan. So what we're trying to do is figure out how we can get our students' academic progress up to a place where we feel that there are competitive and improvement. COVID hit every school district extremely hard. We had some 20% decreases, you know, in certain levels, and then we had increases that we didn't anticipate because we've got some good things in person. So right now what we're looking at is the ELO target grade of a 2.5 to 3%. In our math, we're looking at a 3% gain, and then in our language arts, we need 5. If we get 5 in the next 3 years, we'll be up to target for the high school. At the middle school, the issue there was we have some people growing and we have to add science. So we're adding that one. Science right now, we need a 5% growth plan, and our math is a 3% plan. We're at 55.8. We need to hit 59. Middle school language arts at 46, and we need to go to 49 to make sure we're up to par and showing progress. 8th grade went down to 44 during the COVID. We're up to 48, so it's a 4% increase. We want a 4% more to take it over to 52. So that's what we've anticipated we can get with our programs we have now. At the elementary school, 55% attendance was, and the state average is 64, so we've spent some time on that. Class size, we have shrank class size, which is great. We're way below the state average. So it was 24, now we're down to 19 is our class average. Our reading scores are right near the state. Our targeted goals, though, need to improve by 5%. Our math scores went to 43, state's 42. Our targeted growth pattern, we believe, should hit 55, because we got interventions going with tutorials and some other activities. Our retention rate needs to be improved. Our graduation rate slipped, and it's now going back up, so we're excited about that. One of the things the high school is doing is they're piloting a benchmark progress monitoring program, Renaissance Star. So Hillary was able to get that, Ms. Holtzman, was able to get that for free for the semester. We appreciate that for the rest of the year. So we're able to get that, and that's helping us assess individual assessments where we can help students who are behind in certain areas, how we can fix it. So, and address that as an independent basis. So that's one of the things we're doing there. The nice thing about the elementary school and the plan there is that with our class sizes, we believe that our teachers are able to have more independent time and help them out. Also in the 6th grade, Ms. Warner has a nice program where some people use their expertise to teach language arts, and others teaches math, so they share with the kids. Is that about right? Yep. So that's our plan there. So our targeted growth, we believe is attainable. Our 90% retention rate at the elementary school is our ultimate goal, because right now it's 71, so we have to improve that.
So what do you mean by retention?
So that's the attendance, kids not coming to school and also moving forward. You know, we're down, I've got to make sure I get it right, we're down 25 students since COVID, is that where we're at now? 20, excuse me, so we're 20 down. So we're almost to where we were pre-COVID. So that's over there. So that's our targeted growth plan. We'll have more details for you as we get all the data through. We had a data team meeting already. We had to cancel last one. We're going to redo that again. I'm meeting with Mr. Louis next week, and then our team will meet again. So we'll continue to give you an updated targeted growth plan of how we're trying to make sure our students are up to par for academics. Any questions?
No, I think it kind of shows the hole that we went into in COVID.
We went in a very big hole. Everybody did, unfortunately, and we want to fix that. So we have a gradual plan to get us back. Okay, Ethics Commission. So we have this is the one we have right now going with what we're going to fix. So Senate Bill 292, and I want to thank our board chair. She wrote a very nice testimony letter. So what happens in the small schools when they're having to declare all their income and all the other stuff is a major conflict of interest, and it's very intrusive to boards. So the small schools where we're working with do not feel, we had 3 board members resign in Central Oregon already, 3 board members, because they said, listen, we've only got 10 people in the school district, it's hard enough to serve on the school board, and I have to tell everybody what I make and what I do for a living, and it's not ethical, it's not right. So we have that going, and we're looking right now to move it to the next level, and any districts below 1,260. Is that right, Mr. Stratton? 1,260?
That was a number like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 1260, so that's what, and he's been working on it, so we appreciate his work with it as well. So it's one of those things important for small school districts, so I think we're on the right path for that. In addition, the emergency operation plan, so I met with Mr. Stratton and his team, and he was able to bring in some experts from Central Oregon, so the ESD, and a couple people we already knew, so it was great to work with them. So we now have scheduled assessments for safety, because safety is going to be one of our #1 priorities throughout the district, and they'll do a safety assessment for each building and each district in the county. So we're pretty excited about that. Very thorough investigation. He said it could be 400 or 500 pages for our district size, and then Adele's would be 20. So it's going to be very thorough. So we're going to make sure we do that. We also are debriefing, setting up debriefing for what we can do right now until this assessment to make our schools a little safer. And we've already done some of the things, but we have plenty more.
Yeah, I can't get in the front door of the high school.
Sorry, but well, that's a good thing. Any questions about my reports?
Or the side doors.
I haven't tried the side door, I just come in the front.
Any questions for me?
No, I appreciate the work that you're doing on that. You know, the school safety and whatnot was something that we were really charging forward on prior to COVID. And then it kind of went to the back burner in survival mode, so that is something that we need to get back into a forefront of taking care of. And I think we are definitely taking steps there. A little bit challenging as to how to make that all work and still be able to flow around the school and not, you know, live within prison walls. So it's kind of a hard mix to work.
Appreciate that, and we're working hard with the legislators to try to get some of the laws that are impacting school districts immensely. One on special education is going to hit the entire state, so we're all working on that, and Dr. Hartley, you're somewhere around here. So him and I were in a meeting yesterday with the legislature. They called an emergency session for all the superintendents and special ed directors, and we've never seen legislation so difficult and so punitive, and they want to have the law come into effect in April. So we're working with all the different unions and with all the different organizations in the state to try to get that law toned down a bit. It's about students who are not coming full days to school, and some districts have 50 or 60 kids out, not attending school at all. They're doing it online or doing other things. So we're fixing it, but I want to make sure you know that that's a big bill coming. If you see that through all your emails you get, that's what it's about. So everyone's
What are
letting
they
it.
calling that one?
Pardon?
What are they calling that bill?
That is, what is it, student?
It's Senate Bill 819.
Yeah, thank you. But I want to make sure I brought that to your attention. You're going to see a lot through all your emails. So Senate Bill 819 is probably the most aggressive. It's over 1,000 pages, so it has a lot of details.
And so it's going to go into effect regardless in April, even if it's not toned down?
Yes, because the Senate and the Vice Chair both are the ones sponsoring the bill. So it's, you know, it's a fast track.
Fast track.
It's fast track, and we're all just shaking our heads actually. So this is the first time in my career I've seen it, the first time Mr. Stratton and Dr. Hartley, we all see it, the first time we've ever seen this. And all the superintendents are online, a lot of moaning and groaning, so it's going to be.
So what are they actually trying to do?
They're trying to make us have more responsibility for special education kids without any extra staff or help. And in addition, they're also saying that you cannot ever remove a kid, no matter how dangerous they are, from a school setting. And that's not going to resonate well with our parents or with our staff or with us. There's a time that maybe a student should not be in school in a regular setting.
Right.
But under the new bill, it's, when can we do that? Never.
Unless parents agree to it.
So it's really going to be a major change. It actually, the IEP process is being undermined in this law. So it's going to be challenging for it. But right now, unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with it. I just want to make sure you're aware of it, so you know that you're on top of it. Okay. That's all I have.
Just a quick comment.
Sure.
Back to the Student Investment Act.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this goes back to the previous superintendent.
Right.
We sent out surveys to the public.
Right.
One of the things we heard was we want our schools to be more safe. We want our class sizes to be smaller. You know, we want more activities for our kids
And then academic,
in academic rigor.
those apply.
And so we're on a pretty good trajectory there. And then COVID happened. And, but this is all part of this money that we've got that we have to track that makes it more difficult, which gets back to the audit report that was previously talked about. So it all just kind of works together and it's,
Cause and effect is very much alive in the system.
yes.
But I think right now with our administrative team, we've actually got us to a place back on the treadmill, so we're going
Yeah.
forward.
Appreciate that.
Good. Okay. Item number 6, public comment. Did anybody fill anything out?
You just had one prior, but nobody else submitted one.
And so is this,
Can I speak on Annie Holmes' behalf since she was trespassed for spitting allegedly on Mr. Carter?
I believe that's fine, but hang on, let me read my rules about public comment here. Okay, I got it. In reference to board policy BDDH, public participation in board meetings. The school board normally accepts public comment only in its regular scheduled meetings. Public comment is not normally accepted at special meetings or work sessions. Questions asked by the public when possible will be answered immediately by the chair or referred to a staff member for reply. Questions requiring investigation may, at the discretion of the chair, be referred to the superintendent for response at a later time. Speakers may offer objective criticism of district operations and programs, but the board will not hear complaints concerning individual district personnel. The board chair will direct the visitor to the appropriate means of board consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals. See board policy KLD, public complaints about district personnel. The school board welcomes participation in each board meeting, biggest one we've ever had as long as I've been coming, to establish the, let me see, I got sidetracked, I went off card here. Individuals addressing the board are asked to provide written summaries when possible. Statements should be brief and concise. Please limit comment to 3 minutes. Announce your name before speaking. Be courteous of others. Follow board established procedures for the meeting. And notification is given to speakers that meetings may be recorded. Okay.
Okay, I'm Daphne Greer here on behalf of my children and many other parents, and as well as Annie Thornton. She asked that I read this since she was not allowed to come in. We come to you tonight to ask the school board not to renew the superintendent's contract or at least postpone it until you get the private investigator's report. The private investigator will be coming down to Lakeview to speak with many individuals, over 60, that have concerns and complaints regarding the superintendent. If you look back and do some of your own investigation, you will see that Mr. Carter basically destroyed Rainier School District. History is repeating itself through intimidation, constant bullying, loss of staff, students, and programs. We are asking that you postpone this until a thorough investigation is completed. The evaluations that have been generated, this is through the TSPC, Teacher Standards and Practices Board, that has an ongoing investigation prior to this, but they are actively investigating this as well. Describing Mr. Carter's performance, character, and the teacher evaluations that I guess were done by the district were not reflective of the real picture. We are asking that you do what's right to our school board. Please stand up for the community, our parents, our past staff, our current staff, and mostly our students. They deserve better. To the board members, may we remind you that the superintendent works for you. You do not work for him. Please call Annie Thornton with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we'll,
Is there any other public comment?
nobody filled anything else out? Okay, so we will take that under advisement. Thank you. Okay, on to reports.
As a parent, I would appreciate waiting until the investigation is completed as well. We have 3 students enrolled, one in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary school. And I think that a lot of the reason for all of the people here tonight is because of the great amount of concern. And I think that it would be really appreciated by the town to have that report completed
And
before
what's-
renewing the contract.
What's your name so that we can get it in the record?
Lauren Sims.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, on to reports. I can't even read.
Steve.
How about ASB?
Hold on just a
Yep.
second. So I showed up late.
Yes.
My fault. There wasn't a place in there to write my name for public comment. So can I not say anything?
Well, you're actually supposed to do it like 24 or 48
Well-
hours or something. But if you want to go ahead and, No, you-
No, I'll do it. And,
no, you're fine.
no, I'll just wait. But there should be a process with,
Well, you're supposed to have to go down to the district office or get it online and fill it out prior to the actual meeting. But where there were so many people tonight, they signed in and we basically said we would let a few people speak if they would like to. So if you would like to, you're,
I'll just wait till the next go around.
okay. Okay, ASB report. Somebody,
Do I move or do I just say it?
do you want to go out in front or you just want to hide right there? Okay.
Hold on, I gotta sign into my code. So it was not as organized as it normally is, so this is my first time doing it, so I'm kind of nervous, but. Okay, my name is McKenna Starr. I'm the freshman president, class president. So for the freshmen in physical science, we're learning about energy, and we just finished our thing on forces, and that's what our unit test was. And then geometry, we're working on chapter 6, relationships between triangles. Algebra 1 is working on chapter 3, graphing linear functions. English is preparing for our informative Erie Cup speech. For sophomores, biology is focusing on yeast and what it does. English, they're focusing on speeches, and they started practicing them, and they're now doing their Erie Cup. World history did a couple lessons on the Middle Ages and moving to Western Europe. Juniors in Rush history. They're studying the 1970s social issues of the Nixon, Ford, and Carter presidencies and connecting to the past units to how the growing conservative led to the election of Ronald Reagan. APUSH is completing time period 5, covering the years 1848 through 1877, which covers the topics of manifest destiny, socialism, the Civil War, and Reconstruction. When schools resume, when school resumes, the class will move to time period 6, covering the years of 1865 through 1898, with the main topic being the Gilded Age. Math is working on common angles, angle circles, common angle circles, sines, and cosine graphs. Biology is working on learning about watersheds. English is also working on Erie Cups for juniors. And seniors in econ are doing possibility curves. Personal finance is doing car loans. Honors English is doing debates. And regular English is reading Lord of the Flies. Lies. Sorry. I read that wrong. Okay. That's good.
Good job, McKenna.
There was a lot of.
Okay. LHS, TMS, counseling department reports.
Awesome. So, we got you guys, well, Ms. Young did because counselors work on different types, but, so she got you guys a PowerPoint. I promise we won't go through the whole thing, but that was just to get you guys pretty detailed information. There's a video in there from the Student Success Room from Mr. and Ms. Castro because they weren't able to be here, and I really encourage you to watch that to really give you a snapshot. But tonight, we have myself, Brandon Harris. I'm the K through, our 7 through 12 school counselor.
Jeanette Grant. Just a second. It's ESD. Stand up and do it. Yeah, I'm from the ESD, but I work at the junior high and the high school as the behavior specialist.
And Kylie Hickey, I'm also with the ESD as a behavior specialist.
And I'm J.D. Herman. I work K through 2 at Fremont as a behavior specialist and currently as the SPED teacher for our life skills room.
And then Miss Jackie McDougall, one of her kids had a birthday today, so we gave her a pass. So, but she does 3rd through 6th as well. So just a couple of the highlights that we wanted to mention is that in the last couple of years, with the support of the ESD and the school district, we've been able to expand our services. A couple years ago, it was just one elementary counselor and one 7 through 12 counselor. And so now we have a team, and I love people. And so it's awesome to be a part of a team. So we're super thankful both to the ESD and the school district for that. With that, we, under Addie's Act, created a suicide prevention intervention policy that was required by us that put systems in place and practices and all staff training. JD and Kylie are both trained and provide that training annually to our entire staff, both classified and certified. We have the Student Success Room. We have the Goslin Nest that are all part of, under kind of the counseling umbrella. Sources of Strength, which is a suicide prevention and anti-bullying program that is now in the elementary and the high school, middle school. And then Elementary Coffee with the Counselor, that's Miss Jackie. She's not here to brag, but we're going to brag on her. One other really cool thing that happened thanks to the ESD is we were able to purchase a program called SCUDA, which is School Counseling Use Time Analysis, which allows us to document our time and make data-driven decisions, helps us with our reporting for our mental health grants and different things like that. And so that's district-wide, and that's been a huge benefit for us this year. And with that, we got it up and running in October. So from October to January, we had over 1,200 student contacts between this group of people. So that's pretty awesome. If we include student services under GEN, it goes up to 1,500 for that time. We have weekly counseling meetings with administration, student services, special education, and then we monthly meet district-wide. We've developed a new counseling webpage, so get on it. It's on the main page, and it has all of us under it. You can schedule appointments, you can get directly to us, and it has anything from academic to social emotional to mental health needs, and so that's another thing that our department's been able to do in the last year. 7 through 12 in a nutshell, we have academic, career, post-secondary, solution focused, but then we have our ESD specialists who do primarily therapeutic skills, social emotional, crisis response services, and then JD can talk about elementary as well.
So K through 6, I'm working at Fremont K through 2, and then my colleague Jackie McDougall works 3 through 6. So this is our year and a half going in. So we work with the special education teams, the teachers, parents to do our functional behavioral assessments or behavior intervention plans. We also manage and run groups for kids to work on emotional regulation skills and academic skills on how we can keep kids in class that are struggling with any of the behaviors that come up, and then help give tips for teachers on how to manage some of those behaviors. The other cool thing that we're doing that we started this year is trying to get out more to the public and talk to the public parents more. So we had our first coffee with counselors had 2 people show up, so I'm hopeful that more people show up to our coffee with counselors. But we also had our quarterly social emotional learning family night, which we had a pretty good turnout. It was a Friday night, a bunch of families came and we learned and play games together so that we can help kids and parents start talking about emotions and conflict and things in a safe environment. And we provide food and pizza through that process for families that come. The other cool thing that we have going on is our Gosling Nest, which is a new room that we have to help with some of our nonverbal autistic kids or kids with communication disorders. So my hope with this room, after working with administration and doing some research and looking at other places how they have it set up, is to get an earlier start and earlier intervention with some kids so that we can help with communication earlier on, and then help these kids get more time into the classroom, because we're going to continue to have kids coming through us, so we're excited to have this room. And we use a STAR curriculum, which is, it's different than the STAR, what they're talking about in the school system, but it's a way that we can use tools to help kids with life skills, basic writing, basic talking, how to use AAC device, which is, if you've seen like kind of like a laptop with visual cues, so that we can teach kids how to say I need to go to the bathroom and snack, stuff like that. So we have some cool stuff going on at the elementary school.
And so really, the student success room up at the high school, Mr. and Ms. Castro, is really about coping skills for academic and social emotional success. It uses zones of regulation. It's an amazing, more proactive approach. So we have lots of different stair steps to support all of our students. And the really cool thing is the majority of our students are self-referrals. That means they're coming into the office saying, hey, I want to talk about college. Hey, I'm having a hard time with this. Where can I get help and support? And that just is a great, I just commend our students for that. They're doing a tremendous job. So really appreciative, amazing team. Thankful to the ESD and the school district for all the support. So just want to let you guys know. Great.
Randy, you didn't have this kind of support not very long ago, did you?
No.
It was pretty overwhelming.
It is amazing. It is amazing, right? We talked about it last week for counselor appreciation. It was just, it's amazing to be part of a team and to have a team of people, and so just very thankful for that.
Great, thank you guys. It's nice to meet some. Okay, student services director report.
Do you want to do special ed first, or?
Oh, did I skip one? Oh, whoops, I got sidetracked with the counseling. Okay, we better stay in order. Special ed.
Really just, these guys stole my thunder there. I'll tell you what, and don't let JD kind of like down talk what's going on in our K-2 counseling with our life skills program. JD's really stepped up. Put a STARS curriculum program together. For those of you who know, just if you Googled STARS and autism, and you can see that curriculum, and it's amazing the progress we can see with kids, especially the nonverbal ones, that we're really starting to be able to communicate what's going on inside their heads, and how wonderful. And getting a lot of the kids back into the general ed classroom is our plan there. So, JD's just a wonderful job with that. Talked about the, talked about the social emotional rooms, and a lot of my work, a lot of the counseling work is a lot of kids with also have academic needs that fall into, special ed realm as well. But we were also able to get a grant for $11,000 that's going to help support the life skills room with some of that technology, different furniture, and also help support the student services social emotional room as well. And with all those great things going on in there, we do have 2 jobs open next year for special ed. Thank you very much, JD, for finishing the year out, but we are looking for somebody at the K-2 life skills position that just has that heart and compassion to continue to work with some of the most highly impacted kids, and also looking for somebody in our 7-12 resource room. Traditionally, we've had 2 special education teachers in the district, for 712. This year, we were unable to fill one of those, so we've been going this year with one special education teacher, so it'd be nice to get that back to 2, and just a real good, the staff has really come together to help support the special ed kids, the general ed teachers and all that, so that's done really well. Any questions about it?
No, thank you. Anybody else? All right, thank you. Okay, now I can flip over to the back page, and we'll try Student Services Director report.
Right, so I have quite a few different irons in my fire, and I want to start with talented and gifted. Affectionately known as TAG. In March of this year, March of last year, new OARs were adopted, and so we have to revamp our TAG plan. And so I've been working on that. I've attended 2 sessions with the Oregon Department of Education, and then today I met with Angela Allen, who is the head of TAG at ODE, and she and I had a really, really great conversation, and I love that the position of ODE right now is not one of like punishment and make you feel bad about what's not going right, but instead of coming alongside you and saying, hey, how can we support you and how can we help you make this work? So we have an existing TAG plan which followed all of the previous OARs, but now they're changing, and there's a lot of things that we have to do differently in identifying kids and in our process. It can't be limited like it is right now. And so the first step is for us to put together a TAG team, which we have a super great representation of people right now who volunteer to be on that TAG team. We have a community parent, we have someone from behavioral, the behavior department, we have a counselor, we have a past TAG student, we have a student who probably should have been identified as TAG as never was. We have teachers from Union, Fremont, the high school and the middle school, and I'm thinking that I'm missing somebody. Oh, we also have someone from Lake District Health who are on that team, and a principal, to help us really revamp our TAG plan and make it so that we are not limiting ourselves. One of the other things that's really awesome about the new state rules is that we can have local talent. So we can look at kids who are talented and gifted locally, not just something that compares to Portland or Beaverton or Salem, but something that's very Lake County. So if we have kids that rise in the arts or in our egg shop, we can identify them as talented and gifted in those areas. So I'm really excited about that. And that new TAG plan is due May 1st. So there'll be a lot of work in student services and with this team between now and then. Our preschool is currently up to 10 students, which I'm super excited about. We have 12 free spots and 9 free spots are filled. So I have 3 open if you know anyone who turned 3 by September 1st of this last year. And they're interested in preschool, have them reach out to me. We only have 3 free spots left, and we have 5 paid spots remaining. Also, our building finally got through the approval process. Thank you, Dr. Carter, for all your hard work right there. And if you've driven by the elementary school recently, Susan's playground is torn up, and she's gracious and kind and never complains about that. But these 2 days actually is going to work out great because I think I see them filling in holes.
Won't work out great, but it's livable.
Yeah, it's livable. So our initial plan was to like move in October, and it's moved. So now we think maybe we will be able to occupy by March 1st. We're excited about that. And then once that happens, we would like to open our aftercare program to the community because right now we're just servicing the teachers or the staff. And so we want to open to the community. The only hiccup there is whether we're able to hire. And that has been problematic in the past, so just being able to find somebody quality. And I really want to get somebody who's committed to that kind of work so that they stick around because I don't want to mess with kids by bringing people in and bringing people out. So, and then the last thing about preschool is we started the Spark Rating Program, which is a national rated program that tells parents when they're like looking for preschools or looking for childcare centers how we rate nationally. And it's a 1 to 5 scale. And my secretary and student services and I are working with our preschool, and we're shooting for a 5, which out of the park is maybe wise, I'm not sure, but I won't accept less than a 4. So we will apply this summer, and when you apply, you have to actually tell them what to look for, whether you want them to look for a 4 or a 5. So as we're working through the Spark rating this spring, we're going to decide. There's a couple of things that we might not be able to do because we just don't have the funds for an outdoor covered play area and stuff like that. So there may be some places where we just have to take a 4 and be okay with it until I can find us some additional money. So Lakeview Academy is another thing under my belt, and that's going well. We had Jamie Patterson was our teacher this year, and she's fantastic. And right now, we just switched over, so we had some kids that went back to brick and mortar and some kids who came into Lakeview Academy, and that's been fun to get all that transitions done. And currently, we have 1 person in our 2 through 5 program, we have 9 students in our 6 through 8, and we have 25 students in our 9 through 12 program. Strengthening mental health, which pairs with the stuff that Brandy was talking about. We just submitted our first report to Oregon Department of Education on the work that we were doing. And overall, our student engagements, I'm pretty excited about this. We engaged 336 students district-wide in the name of mental health, right? That doesn't count every time we engage them, but that's how many of our students, which is just almost about like 45% of our student population, which is awesome. And we had 6, if you count the sessions with me, not just them, but the sessions with me and with my secretary, we had 1,665 sessions with students, and we engaged 166 families, and we had 357 sessions with them. And that would just be any time we met with parents to support them in mental health, met with kids in that way. Whether it was my work as the community care coordinator and mental health liaison, whatever that is I do, or them. That's all of us total. So right now, our next steps are to engage in professional development in strengthening mental health, and particularly in building mental health literacy, both with staff and with the community. So we just started, I have like 10 teachers, staff members that are joining a PLC, which is a professional learning community. We say acronyms all the time and I forget. What is that? Pooh Bear? And no, it's professional learning community. So we're getting ready to do that. And then Jackie is our rock star as far as starting the parent groups for getting mental health literacy to parents, and then the copy with the counselors. So we're excited about that. The next piece on my list is McKinney-Vento, which is the homelessness act from the federal government, and then foster care. So we currently have 26 students who are considered homeless in our district, and we have 4 kids who are in foster care. And my office is doing a fair amount of work really supporting those families and getting them services that they need. And so far, we have supported with, and this isn't just all of mine, I'm talking district-wide, things that we just, not Jen, please don't think that, but because I've been charged, I know all this stuff. So, let's see, we're halfway through the school year. We have supplied food, both in school and out of school. We've done backpacks, clothing, school supplies, graduation materials, mental health supports, instruments, a tarp, a heater, transportation, school fees, Chromebooks, covers, Christmas gifts, and emergency lodging for just homeless families in our community. And that is all with like no money. So that's awesome for us, yay. And those people. So, and I would also like to just say that Lake District Health, and then a lot of the local churches in our community, and also the Crisis Center and places like that have really stepped up to help support our families as well. KCC is also one of the things under my umbrella, and my secretary, Carly, is working super, super hard to rebuild that program, and she's doing such a great job. We have so many more students coming in and wanting to access what we have here in the building, and our goal is to revive that program and bring it back to community-wide, both up in North Lake and down here. And so on the 24th of February, Dr. Carter, Carly, Tara, Sean, myself, and someone else, I forgot that person who approached us about going.
Development, Lakeview Development.
Right, are going to KCC for a campus visit. They just opened their new cosmetology school, and so we're looking at how we can partner with that. And then some people reached out to us from the hospital because they have that CNA program, and so we're looking at partnering there. State testing is up and running. Tara has been working super hard. She loves it when I point her out in public. To get us all ready to go. She's training teachers, she's training staff, so that we're totally in compliance there. And I feel like we're really organizing on top of that. And then building community resources, which is another piece of my job. I'm currently in the process, and I'm really excited about this, taking over. It's a mental health resource page that exists in our community, and you can like Google it, and there it is, but you click on the pages and it says
currently under development, currently under development, currently under development. I've hunted it down, I found out who owns it, they don't want to run it anymore, and so we're looking at the possibility of taking that over as a district so we can get all that stuff loaded up so that anyone in the community, whether they're in the school or out of the school, if they need mental health resources, my hope is they can click on that and find everything that would be available to them. And then that wouldn't just be something, my other goal is not just to make it so it's managed by Jen, but to make it so that it's managed within the school district so it's sustainable. And then I gave you a list of, I don't want you to think that I'm not doing anything. So I have that list there of like the meetings that I attend monthly and the different work that I'm doing. So any questions?
No, it's like a whirlwind.
It is, every time you see me.
One thing I mentioned is in the nicely grant, we're ahead of the other 5 districts, so I'm pretty excited about that. And, we're showing growth that in places they didn't really anticipate. So that's gonna be the best part, because we're the pilot with Frontier.
Can I ask you a question on that tag? So it's no longer 97 percentile on the test anymore?
Not anymore.
Oh, that's good news.
No, in fact, they're also saying that they don't want us to have one way in. So right now, if you look at our tag plan, it just says you have to be in the 97th percentile on. Yeah, and now it's saying, no, we want you to have a plan that has multiple ways in. And so I'm really excited about that because we can say, hey, we've got these kids that really to be considered talented and gifted, you are a student who needs instruction above the regular curriculum because we're not meeting your needs, like you're bored. So there's a lot of new stuff out like tag profiles, like what students look like who are talented and gifted, and sometimes they're not good attenders and sometimes they're not well behaved. So we have a lot of ways to look at kids.
And our goal is to identify those and let them go to competitions or something that we don't offer so they can excel. And that's one reason we're meeting with KCC and Dr. Gutierrez and everything, so we've got some options for it.
And Lakeview Academy, I mean, there's a lot of accelerated learning, there's a lot of different opportunities for us.
We're ahead, and I got to meet with Grace tomorrow, I think, tomorrow the next day. And also early childhood, I'm meeting with them, so we're trying to get more resources. For the first time, we got resources last year, so I'm the chair of that, so I'm going to push to get. That's it.
Okay, great. Anybody have any questions? You're still.
Still processing.
Hey, I've got an email. You can catch me later.
Okay, thank you. All right, on to the athletic director report.
All right.
She has fun stuff.
You guys ready? Ski team is competing in the Southern League with Mount Ashland, and we're growing again, so that's exciting. We had a home meet last Saturday, 21 kids raced. It was awesome. Tara Albertson took up coaching, and she's doing an amazing job, so shout out to her. There's 10 students, grades 6 through 12. We have a really young team, so we're hoping to build them up. Middle school girls basketball started on January 18th. They'll be wrapping up here soon. They're doing a great job. Wrestling has a pretty strong girls program now, and we have Becky Patsky going to state, which is awesome, along with 3 of our gentlemen, Adrian Stubbs, Brayson Granger, and Wyatt Julian. And then we're kind of transitioning into spring. We just hired for track, and I'm super excited about our group. We have Kelly Hall, Rick Stupak, Caleb Howard, Chris Spinetti, Caitlin McAllister, and what more am I forgetting? Danny Owens. And then throughout the winter season, one of our big challenges is that our facilities district-wide are packed from like 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. So we're trying to get creative, and by we, I mean Cody, he's filling me in with all his great ideas, of what else we can do to get more space for our kids. Projects, we have lots of projects going on. Before I went to that, I just want to give a shout out to our winter teams. All 3 winter teams are 3.0 cumulative and above GPA average, so some hard workers out there. We have 18 students signed up for esports. I'm so pumped about this, okay? It's through the Play BS League, and if approved, they'll start competitions in the following weeks. I'm just really excited to have kids have a place where they can feel like a honker, you know, and I can't wait to work with student council to get some kids in there and root them on for their competitions. I mean, if you approve it, right, so not. Yeah, super excited about this group. We hosted 2 coaches roundtables since I've seen you guys last. our biggest group was 14, then we had 8. Cody leads them with some really great curriculum, and we're having really good conversations about what is it going to be to have Lakey mentality, what is it going to be a honker, and how can we start teaching kids not only athletic skills, but leadership skills within that. On top of that, I'm working on a project next year to offer 0.25 credit for an athletic leadership program. So we'll meet once a month in the morning, and then the kids can help out at games like helping elderly to seats or having little programs for the little kids during football games, and they track those hours, and that's what's going to get them the credit. So we can develop the leadership and develop our athletic programs also. On February 20th, we have a meeting, and guest speaker Marty Lees is going to come. It's open to all community coaches, so we're really excited about that. He's a Lakeview native and a current college coach for like the last 20 years, right? He's had a long career. We partner with BSN and have an online honker store. 10% of our funds come back to us. So I think we're this close to getting a new tablecloth. Okay, but it's canvas and it's embroidered.
So buy more stuff.
It's going to be a high-class tablecloth. Right? You're going to see it and be like, that makes me feel good to be a honker. Cody and Kelly are looking into different online options to streamline the athletic registration so it can be all online and make all of our lives, but especially Kelly's, a lot easier. Cody, Coach Moss, Coach Rigg, and myself met to look at a $10,000 grant and settled on new weight room equipment. So we're waiting on a quote from that so we can hopefully get that coming our way and add even more work to Janet, who we greatly appreciate. Cody's going to be working with leadership to hopefully open baseball and softball concessions again this year, and that will be really great for us to have. And I put in a maintenance request to have those picnic tables from football moved down there, so you have a place to come eat and hang out, watch some ball. Big project that Cody's been working on is looking at better options for us for a league, and so he worked really hard on the letter and mileage to transfer to the Eastern League, and it was denied by OSAA. So I'm going to turn it over to Cody because he has some numbers for you on our different options.
So 2 weeks ago I turned a letter into the OSAA Football Ad Hoc Committee, basically requesting that we switch leagues to the Eastern Oregon League, Special District 3, which would have saved us on mileage. Right now, within the Far West League for football, every game's a league game, and so we don't have the flexibility to schedule a MODOC, any of the climate schools, or something out of Central Oregon, like Lapine. All of our closest league game right now is Medford, Cascade Christian, St. Mary's, and Phoenix, and that's 180 miles. So with having to play 10 league games per year, there's no option for a 60-mile trip to MODOC or anything like that. At this point of the year, fall sports, winter sports, and spring sports, just the team sports, this doesn't include cross-country, wrestling, or track and field. We're at 20,626 miles of travel, which I think our travel budget had to increase by $40,000 with this new league that we're in, if I got that number right. I've mentioned this at the last athletic director meeting for the Far West League, which we're currently in. I said that it's not going to be easy for us to sustain this travel much longer. And so we're looking at some options to maybe send to the state where we add Sayuslaw to the Far West League and then split it into 2 leagues, which would reduce our mileage from a 223 one-way average mileage, so 446 round trip, to 400 miles round trip. And so just adding that will give us a little bit more flexibility to reschedule some of these traditional schools that we scheduled with the MODOCs and the Henrys and the KUs. And so we're doing all we can to reduce the travel for the students. The more we travel, the more it costs, the more academic time that the student loses, and then the safety aspect of the more mileage, the more time you're behind a wheel. And so we're going to continue exploring options and keep fighting with the USA about doing
Do they
something.
have any rational reason, explanation why they denied it?
They didn't message me back, but because we're in a 2-year block, so like last year we went to Brookings, and so Brookings would return the trip this year, and so they're saying maybe after the 2-year block. We did have letters of support from 2 of the Eastern Oregon League schools, and one of the little insider thing was that potentially Umatilla and Riverside said they don't want to drive to Lakeview, and so That might have been a hiccup there.
Perkins doesn't want to drive to Lakeview either.
No, so, but we're gonna continue exploring and continue fighting and see what they can come up with.
We're gonna probably use the community to help us support it. We're gonna have to have letters, so that's down the road. Because it needs to change. It's too hard on our parents and our staff. It's not fair.
Yeah, 50-mile round trip after you've been to school part of the day, and then you have to be at school first thing in the morning.
I do have all the mileage. I didn't make copies, but I can get this to whoever wants it.
It's been very disappointing to see other teams not bring their JV teams to Lakeview. It gives our kids less opportunities to play, and they didn't have very good reasons as far as I was concerned. I didn't know if that got brought up in your meeting at all.
No, the one, so there was a few schools that didn't bring it, I know Brookings didn't bring it, and that was transportation. They weren't able to find a second driver. Brookings, they have to have a special permit to drive in the snow, and so they only had one bus driver that was allowed to do that, and so they couldn't bring a second driver. And so 4 games is roughly 6 hours, and so with a 6-hour trip, 6 hours of playing, and 6 hours home, you're gonna be able to do 14 hours. And so other schools didn't have a good reason to, just the far trip and the limited bus drivers.
Okay, one more thing. Sports medicine athletic training program updates. So they brought back student athletic trainers attending games and practices. 3 students are working with each high school sport in the winter season. They bring in therapist Annika Griffiths during class time to ensure the students know how to do it all correctly. We moved the athletic training facility so that has equal access to boys and girls. And that they're hoping to find a more permanent spot for cleanliness, privacy, and equal access. The health careers dual credit class with OIT is approved to send students in to observe surgeries. So that's exciting for them. I would not want to do that, but. And they want to look at officially renaming the sports med program to Bobby's medical program. So that's from Kelly Hall and her students that worked really hard on that. Any questions?
No? Thank you.
No.
Okay, financial report.
Okay, so I'm reporting on your general fund through December 31st. And the local resources, we projected to collect about 88%. We actually collected 73%. The local sources is obviously your taxes, your property taxes. And then for our state sources, which is our state school fund, we've collected 52% and projected at 57%. And if you recall, we lowered down our ADM number, which affects our state school fund in that calculation. And so we are collecting less in hopes that we won't owe anything at the end of the year when they do the reconciliation and the true up with that, because we do run off of an estimate. And so that has affected us, and I know that the numbers have come up through the year, but we've kept the numbers down. So in that state school fund, we've collected approximately $3.4 million, and our taxes specifically $2.3 million. Moving on to your expenditures. For salaries and benefits combined, we are currently at 42%. We projected to be at 37%, so we're a little bit above there. And then we also have all of our other objects, so our consumables, our durables, anything outside of salaries and benefits. We've spent 35%, almost 36%, and projected to be right at 36%. So that is more close calculation and more within range. Keep in mind that our budget is built on 85% salaries and benefits, so it's pretty much staffed. So that's why you have such a large number of 42%. Our ending fund balance in December ended at 2.1 billion, or million, excuse me, I'm sorry. I wish. Excuse me, 2.1 million compared to last year of 2.5 million. Also, I just wanted to reiterate to this that as of posting time of all of this, We were up against the wire with our audit, and so all of the restatements and that are not included in this number. So when we pull in for January's next month, those numbers should pull in, and we'll have a new pull-in for ending fund balance, which is an audited true number, and then we will go from there and roll forward. So it will look different in the next coming month. Any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Short and sweet.
I tried. Nobody likes the financials.
Okay, old business. We don't have any. Okay, on to new business. We got the April board meeting change.
Need to move it to the 5th. So we can make the pay stay. If we don't make the pay stay, we lose our 5% deduction.
Oh, and that's the training that you guys all have to
Training
go
we all
to.
have to go to.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve April 12th regular session board meeting to be moved to April 5th due to the scheduling conflict.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the April 12th regular session board meeting to be moved to April 5th due to the scheduling conflict. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, budget calendar.
Yeah, so you should see attached to your board packet there. Essentially, what's important here is that change of the meeting that you just did of April 5th, but then April 10th would be the first budget committee meeting here at the DMS boardroom at 5:30. This will cover mostly the general fund and any other major funds that will affect the general fund. And then Monday, April 17th, we would wrap it up with all of our special funds, also at the DMS boardroom. And then we would also try to approve the budget and tax rate. I try to get it in one, but I don't promise one, so we go for two.
Okay.
And then with your public budget hearing at your regular school board meeting on May 10th. So it would be adopted potentially on May 10th.
Okay.
Okay. Move to approve the 22-23 budget calendar as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the 2022-23 budget calendar as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, item number 3.
Is this great?
Yep.
Madam Chairman, Classified Employee Appreciation Week resolution for March 6th through 10th, 2023. Whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, county, and world, and whereas classified employees are the backbone of our public education system, and whereas classified employees work directly with students, educators, parents, volunteers, business partners, and community members, and whereas classified employees support the smooth operation of offices and safety and maintenance of buildings and property, and the safe transportation, healthy nutrition, direct instruction of the students, and whereas our community depends upon trusts classified employees to serve students, and whereas classified employees with their diverse talents and true dedication nurture students throughout their school years. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Lake County School District Number 7 Board of Directors proclaims March 6th through 10th, 2023 to have been Classified Employee Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Lake County School District 7 Board of Directors strongly encourages all members of our community to join in this observance, recognizing the dedication and hard work of these individuals.
Motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2, Classified Employees Appreciation Week, March 6th through the 10th, 2023, as presented. The Board of Directors would like to extend our appreciation.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2, Classified Employee Appreciation Week, March 6th through the 10th of 2023 as presented. The Board of Directors would like to extend our appreciation for the great work our classified staff do for the Lake County School District.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. Okay, item number 4, 2022-23 Superintendent Evaluation Contract Extension.
I can make the motion. So I move to approve the 2022-23 Superintendent Evaluation as presented with the amendment of the 1-year contract extension.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the 2022-23 superintendent evaluation as presented with the additional motion to add an additional year to the contract. All those in favor?
Let's have discussion.
Oh, okay, discussion.
So we heard tonight from the public comment asking us to wait or to not consider adding a year to Mr. Carter's contract. You know, an evaluation that goes on for a superintendent is pretty, has 9 different topics that are very thorough, and I don't have a list of all what they are, but it's very in-depth and very gone through. Mr. Carter has led us through the COVID era where we were the only ones going to school and a lot of other schools weren't. And now we're past that, and we're really trying to put that in the rearview mirror. We have seen his participation in the public as a member of Rotary, constantly on the radios giving updates. Community efforts to communicate about what is happening in our schools is ongoing constantly, and I commend him for that. I made a comment that I noticed from my kids that as a thing for improvement, I think that we need to work at least at the high school level, that there is a lot of free time. And I would like to see there be less free time in the future. Just because I feel like there can always be something that can be taught. And I realize there's times when we need to make things up, but it seems to me like that is something that we can be improving on in our classrooms. I also see Mr. Carter working very hard. He is the president of Oregon Small Schools Association. You heard him talk earlier tonight about Senate Bill 292 and Senate Bill 819, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. He's constantly being called by people in Salem for advice and for talking points, and how to work with Oregon School Board Associations and Colt Gill with, who's he with? ODE, Oregon Department of Education, how to better support Oregon small schools. And he is going above and beyond what we see, what I've experienced, you know, in the superintendent level. And all the criteria that we use to evaluate, you know, it's right up there at the top. We'd obviously want to see our kids improve and get those grades up and have more services, things like that. But the SIA deal that was spoken about earlier today, we provided more special ed for our kids. We provided more services that you mentioned, Ms. Schultz, that you know, that is great stuff happening. We have more security now at our buildings. We're doing a lot of good things. We got a long way to go. We need new facilities. I would really, you know, that's another thing that we talked to Mr. Carter about. we need new facilities, and if somebody moves to Lakeview and they see our school buildings, it isn't necessarily a driver to get them super excited. And we're having that trouble with teachers as well. You know, everybody wants to be proud of where they send their kids to school and what that school looks like and what it offers. Our newest building is right over here at the high school, and it's 58 years old. My mom was a senior when it was in its first year, and unfortunately she's passed away now. But you know, so this building here is 112, and the third floor is empty. You know, we're working on that. Roofs leak. Went to a basketball game, watched the roof leak this winter. We got a good gym out there at Union, but the Union school is 111 years old.
The gym's new though.
The gym's newer. 80 Hay and Fremont, same thing. You know, so, but Lakeview is in a tough spot, and we need to tread carefully. I have full confidence that Mr. Carter can help lead us in that direction to help us get some facilities, especially this third floor of this building, get it back in service so that we can have classrooms and get us some facilities that we can all be proud of. So, for that reason, I am in support of a one-year extension.
Can a comment be made?
Not really. We need to do that during the public comment period.
Okay, I just had a question I would have liked to have clarified.
If you stand up and say your name.
Okay. I'm Shirley Smith. I have no children. I have grandchildren, great-grandchildren in this school. My question is, if this investigator brings up some negative comments or information and facts, how hard will it be to dissolve the contract?
I don't have the actual answer for that, but we're extending a contract that is already good for several more years. So whether we do a one-year extension today isn't going to have a bearing, I don't believe, on if we came back and had to go down a different path.
So what is the rush of doing the one-year extension if it's not going to be that big of a deal?
Well, it's nice to give him the opportunity, or at least for the board, to relay to him that we appreciate the job that he's doing and give him the security of that additional year.
Surely also, superintendents have been relieved of their jobs all over the state of Oregon. There's an abundance of school districts who have gotten rid of superintendents. How many has it been, Mr. Carter? 17. 17. So
finding a job should be easy.
So, and there's also principals that also have been relieved of their jobs, and there's not that many qualified people out there, but there's also, it can be done, is what I'm trying to say.
All right, so back to, we've had comment, we've had a motion and a second. So now we're going to, there's been a motion and a second to approve the 2022-2023 superintendent evaluation as presented, along with the addition of 1 year to Mr. Carter's contract. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, on to the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Corey, would it be possible to clarify a couple of the acronyms on the consent agenda? AVID, GSA, what those stand for?
Yeah, the GSA is the Gay Straight Alliance Club.
And the AVID?
AVID is...
Advancement via individual determination, and it's a program for kids to get college ready.
Thank you. Okay, so consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
I can make the motion. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Ms. Gerber, do you have the, perfect, thank you. Okay, announcements.
We don't have any.
Okay. Next board meeting agenda items.
With the air quality smoke management grant, town of Label with Lakeview, and we have the local service plan, getting that done for the ESD, and the nutrition services procurement policies updates that we have to do so we can get some more money for the program, because we have a lot more need.
Okay, perfect. Anything else to add?
At this time,
Okay, perfect. So, do we want to adjourn? Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
Been a motion and a second, or adjourn.